Hello, brothers and sisters in the Lord Yeshua, followers of Yeshua, and keepers of the Torah. I get these books, right? These are heretics writing stories about heretics, for the most part. Eusebius and all of them. But you could, by reading this stuff, you could actually see the gods of this world, Satan himself, at work, with the Christians, and which points to the Antichrist being Christianity itself, because John and Polycarp and all of them always viewed themselves as Israelites. They were members of Israel. So we have Paul writing to the Thessalonians, and I brought this out in an earlier video here. That they be not shaken in mind or spirit, nor by word, as a letter from us, as the day of Christ is at hand. He said, don't think that the day of Christ is at hand. It's not, because let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there become a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed. Revealed was the key word, the son of perdition. Revealed, that'd be Christianity itself, and I'll prove it to you that they were already hard at work right back here when Paul was writing this, because Paul goes on. He says, who he's identifying this person, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worship, so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is good. How many of them Christians you see out there with their own imagination saying, oh no, you're going to be raptured before the Great Tribulation, which is totally false. But this is just, they put themselves above God, like they're the prophets. They're going to tell you what God's doing, right? How many of them are out there? The God says this, God told me this, God told me that, And then he goes down here, is talking about the mystery of iniquity doeth already work. So it was already happening down at Paul's day. And then if we go to 1 John 4:8, 1 John 2:18, here's the Apostle John. Now, he wrote this after he wrote the book of Revelation. Notice what he says. Little children, it is the last time. The last time for what? For the truth to actually be heard, for Israel to actually exist on earth in its form, right? Where they were observing the Torah and had the ministry of Yeshua. This is the last time for it. And as ye have heard that the Antichrist shall come, even now there are many antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. Like everything is unfolding. But now, in this book here, and the reason why I say this is heretics writing stories about heretics, is because we know that, Irenaeus, Eusebius, and all of them, they wrote, heresies, but these guys are actually heretics. None of them obeying the Torah, moving the Friday night to Saturday night Sabbath, God's Sabbath, to Sunday, doing all kind of unspeakable acts. So I want to focus your attention on this chapter 24, the disagreement in Asia. And this is precisely why I read these books, because I get to see what's going on. So if I lived back then, right, and the Apostle John had passed away, Polycarp, Asia is where you want to be, okay? Now let's look at that map again of Asia. We know that these are all of Paul's journeys, right? And then here we have all the 7 congregations are in Asia that Yeshua writes to, okay? Why is he only writing to these ones? Ephesus, Laodicea, Pergamum, all them. Well, Polycarp is the bishop of this area, okay? Now, Ignatius is bishop over in Alexandria. But look at all these churches, right? And Yeshua only writes letters to these ones. What was the difference? The ones in Asia kept the Sabbath, Friday evening to Saturday evening. The rest of them went to Sunday, the venerable day of the sun god worship. Asia kept the Passover on Nisan 14. The rest of them went to Easter Sunday. That should be telling to all of us. Now, what's interesting about this work of Eusebius, which I still love reading, even though I know that they're heretics, and you got to think about all of the sects and denominations that broke off. Why did they do this? Because they were not, like the Apostle John says, they went out from us. They were not of us. Now, this disagreement in Asia was over the Passover, right? And this Polycrates, he is now bishop of Asia because Polycarp had died. So this is one of Polycarp's successors, where they were keeping the Sabbath on Saturday like they're supposed to, and observing Nisan 14, Shavuot, the Feast of Trumpets. Everybody in Asia was sticking to the Torah. But now we come down here, we see all these observe the 14th day of the Passover according to the gospel, deviating in no respect, but following the rule of faith. And I also, Polycrates, the least of you all, do according to the tradition of my relatives, some of whom I have closely followed. For 7 of my relatives were bishops, and I am the 8th. Polycarp's being one of the previous ones. And so they're still observing the day when the people put away the leaven, the feast of unleavened bread. So as we go down here, we see that this Irenaeus, among them was Irenaeus, who, sending letters in the name of the brethren in Gaul, over whom he presided, maintained that the mystery of the resurrection of the Lord should be observed only on the Lord's day. Now, what they're calling the Lord's day is Sunday. But as I am bringing out in this video releasing Friday, I have accurate proof that the Lord was not raised on Sunday. He was raised on the Sabbath. He was Lord of the Sabbath. He told us he was Lord of the Sabbath, and it's a very interesting video. It's there in plain sight. I've researched it for years, and I think you guys are going to thoroughly enjoy that video released Friday at 6 p.m. on the YouTube channel. But anyway, he fittingly admonishes Victor that he should not cut off the whole churches of God, which observed the tradition of the ancient custom, and after many other words he proceeds as follows. For the controversy is not only concerning the day, but also concerning the very manner of the fast, because you're supposed to fast that time. For some think they should fast 1 day, others 2, yet others more. Some, moreover, count their day as consisting of 40 hours, day and night. Why 40 hours? 3 days and 3 nights, he was in the belly of the earth. That's so very important for you guys to know. And this variety in its observance has not originated in our time, but long before in that of our ancestors. It is likely they did not hold to strict accuracy and thus formed a custom in their posterity according to their own simplicity and peculiar mode. Yet all of these lived none the less in peace, and we also live in peace with one another. And you know what I'll do? I'll take a picture of this whole story and put it up on godscommands.com, and I'll have the link in the description of this video so you guys can read it. It's very interesting and very telling. So, but it just shows that they were, Ignatius included, which is kind of strange because him and Polycarp were buds. They were both disciples of the Apostle John, or follower. They were taught by the Apostle John. But you guys got to read the story that's about the disagreement in Asia. And it was just interesting that Asia is the only one that received recognition in the book of Revelation by Yeshua the Lord. It's very telling that he did not even recognize the rest of them. Now, remember, the Apostle Paul was killed in Rome, right? He was killed in Rome in 64, around 64. John is writing this on the Isle of Patmos, 95. And the only recognition that Yeshua was recognizing are those the district of Asia, which were keeping the Torah, the commands of God, and the ministry of Yeshua. And if you read the book of Revelation, those are the ones that are saved. Those are the ones that are called and chosen. So, it's time for the people to wake up. And these people considered themselves a part of Israel. This Christianity was a new faith. It was a pagan faith. And unfortunately, you have Ignatius, Irenaeus, Eusebius, and all of them just taking it hook, line, and sinker, which fulfilled the prophecy about the Antichrist being at work. But on the other hand, Revelation 18:4 is telling, people that are observing these pagan holidays and these pagan customs and pagan practices to come out of her. So come out of Christianity, join Israel, become a Jew according to what a Yeshua Jew is. And much love, respect, shalom, shalom. I'll get this up there on the site. I'll put a link in the description. I'll take a picture and get it uploaded now for you guys. All right. Bye-bye.